This video is an introduction to the columns chart type, which we have selected right here. Now, this chart type is especially interesting depending on how you want to look at the data in front of you. It can be especially helpful for economic charts. As you can see here, we are looking at economy and we have GDP selected. So as you know, a columns chart looks quite like a bar chart, and these are often the visuals people like to use for these specific economic indicators. In fact, they make visualizing the trend on these charts rather easy, because look at how many green columns there are consecutively on this GDP chart. This is a powerful trend demonstrating that essentially GDP is growing time after time after time again, but we can very quickly spot each downturn with the red columns. So the green columns are formed when there is a higher reading that follows a previous reading. Thus it's green, it went higher. And the red columns are formed when the reading goes down and is lower than the previous reading. So this is a GDP chart as a columns chart. So as mentioned, depending on the way you want to view your data, this is another option that you can access on TradingView, and it can be specifically helpful for the different symbols and tickers and data points that you are researching on TradingView. So we did just show you this through the economic indicators and data available to you, but let's go ahead and go to Forex. And let's pick the GBP JPY. Now, it's important to know that the columns chart works for every symbol on TradingView as long as the data is coming in correctly. So as we can see here, we have just turned a Forex chart into a columns chart. Now, this type of analysis oftentimes is not well known or popular or used because traders do prefer to use things like candlestick charts. So here's a candlestick chart of the GBP JPY, and now here's a columns chart. The trend is not as easy to see here, but one more important thing to note is that our time intervals on the columns chart work just like they do on the other chart types. So we have columns chart selected and we have daily. So that means each column represents one day. Now it's very important to know that the columns are not filled in because trading activity occurred on this day all the way down here. No, actually the columns technically just start from zero and work their way up all the way to the highest or the latest price point that is on the chart. So let's talk about why each column is formed and where that data is coming from. Well, if we double click on the columns chart, we open up the chart settings and we can see our price source says open. That means each column on this chart is formed based on the opening price on this daily chart. So the opening price is reflected by looking at the top of each column here. But of course, like all the other chart types available to us, we can modify this to our exact needs in more ways than one. In fact, if we would prefer to see the close, we can click close. And now each column is calculated based off of the closing price. Now, one helpful thing about columns is that it's a rather simple view of price. And you can actually just quickly demonstrate how different the columns change based off of the price source being the open or the price source being the close. You can see these adjustments happening in real time. And you could deduce from that research that perhaps there is some interesting price action occurring between the open and the close just by counting the different red columns versus green columns on the different price sources. But of course, you have other options too: open plus high plus low plus close divided by 4. The choice is yours. Also, keep in mind that you can control the colors of your columns as well. The up color here is the green. The down color here is the red. And we've already explained how these green and red columns are created. But keep in mind, if you would prefer, for example, just to see a straightforward column chart, you don't want to see any type of up or down coloring, well, you can change your up color and your down color to the same color, and now you have a standard columns chart. So this can be rather helpful for indicators, for charting different prices of assets, symbols, economic data points, any of that type of information is available to you with Columns Chart. So we hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. We know for some of you it's rather simple, but it's important for us to have an explainer up that you can access, and for all the new traders out there to learn about these different chart types. Thanks so much for watching. We hope you learned something new.